I love what DC Drano has to say here on Twitter. He gives a very simple recap about the Hunter Biden plea deal. So here's a simple recap, folks. Tune in, dial in, turn that up. The plea deal contained a secret provision to provide Hunter with legal immunity for all future federal charges currently under investigation. So that's his foreign business dealings. Then the judge, she looked at this and she goes, whoa, 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 wait a second. I've never seen anything quite like this. A secret provision in here that would provide you legal immunity from everything else. And the judge said, what is this? And then the DOJ and the defense, the lawyers for Hunter Biden, they were like, well, sorry about that. And then the judge said, look, I've never seen this before. No deal. How do you plea now? And Hunter Biden, of course, enters in his not guilty plea. Hunter is now going to trial for his crimes. This is a win. Good morning, folks. This is the Morning Buzz. We have so much to get to today. Thanks for joining me. You can see me live in the studio. I've got so much to get through. Today, I do want to talk about Joe Biden's dog, of all things. I know you're like, Kat, that's not important, but it is. And I have a couple of, I've had German Shepherds all of my life. And this is a big concern because we pay for the Secret Service as taxpayers, right? And Joe Biden's dog, Commander, has attacked 7 people in just 4 months. And he had similar problems with another German Shepherd. And these problems arose back in 2021. And that was another German Shepherd dog. His name was Major. So they had 2 German Shepherds. They rehomed Major, but then they kept the other dog, Commander. But this dog, Commander, has been attacking people. So we're going to get to that a little later in the show. We also will talk about Vivek Ramaswamy and how he's spitting bars and rapping Eminem's Lose Yourself. I love Eminem. I do. I think I'm not much of a rap person. That's the only rapper I know. He and Ice Cube. And I love Ice Cube. But Vivek Ramaswamy is dropping down some beats and he's dropping the mic. There was this old video of him back in college that's resurfaced. And I think that it's good to step away from the politics of it all and just kind of watch this amazing humanistic video. Like, it just humanizes the world, right? We've all rapped Eminem's Lose Yourself before. At least we've tried. And then first, I do want to get into this. MSNBC. This is amazing. They're rushing to shield Joe Biden from the Hunter Biden debacle. And they're trying to remind America that Joe Biden loves all of his grandchildren, although he refuses to acknowledge his one granddaughter. Okay, so he's reminding America that he refuses to acknowledge that. Really, that's what this MSNBC report does. That's all it does. It just reminds us that he refuses to acknowledge this little girl. I think she's like 6 years old, and they're trying to pitch him as some sort of family man. You cannot, no, Joe Biden is not a family man. He's as much as a family man as he is the president. He didn't win the 2020 election, and he's not a family man. Can't convince me otherwise. All right, this is the Morning Buzz. Like I said, we've got so much to get into, and I'm live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can see me there. And be sure to send me a text message this morning, 309-451-9299. I'm there. I'm here in studio. This is the Morning Buzz. Okay, let's get into MSNBC first. 2 things to consider. First, it's clear that the Biden campaign believes that Joe is a good family man and that he is a loving grandfather. Okay, that's what they believe, and it's something they campaign on. And I think that's what they're going to campaign on going into 2024. I don't know how you do that, because remember, it's not that Joe and Hunter are corrupt. It's that Joe loves his son so much that he'll do anything for him. That's what this is all about, them and their foreign business dealings. They wanna try to spin it as if this is some sort of, "Oh, I'll do anything for my son Hunter. I'll stick up for him through anything." No, this is not admirable, okay? You guys are corrupt. The other thing is here, the Hunter Biden sweetheart plea deal thing, it was called off. It was really bizarre though, because it was kind of in limbo and CNN was reporting that it wasn't called off and then it was. It was just a really weird thing. From what I can tell, the plea deal has been called off officially and that he has entered in a guilty plea or a not guilty plea. So he changed his plea. He's not going to get this sweetheart deal and now he's changed his plea to not guilty. This all has to deal with these tax crimes and the gun charge. Okay, while still in defend Joe Biden at all costs mode, that's what MSNBC Kelly O'Donnell, that's what she's in right now. She's in a I have to defend Joe Biden with my life mode. I don't know why these media acolytes and why they feel the need to defend this guy at all costs. Like, who is Joe Biden to you, Kelly O'Donnell? But of course, right, she said that of course Hunter would be on the phone with Joe on the day of his uh, scheduled to sign his plea deal. So there was a lot of news yesterday that came out that Joe Biden was on the phone with Hunter Biden while he was getting this plea deal signed or was attempting to get this plea deal signed. And it doesn't look good, right? Optics, it doesn't look good that you have the president of the United States on the phone with Hunter, on the phone with his lawyers, trying to figure out how to get this plea deal pushed through. The judge wasn't having it. God bless the judge. They talk all of the time, of course, right? Why? It's normal to have him be on the phone on the day he's scheduled to sign this plea deal. Okay, whatever. Um, but also, the president always makes it a point that he speaks to all of his grandchildren every day. So she went further and she was like, of course, it's normal that they're talking on the phone the day of his plea deal, says Kelly O'Donnell. But then she takes it a step further and tries to say that Joe Biden is some sort of, big old family man. And the reason why he's calling Hunter Biden on the day of his plea deal is because he wants to talk to, grandchildren. And yeah, let's take a listen to MSNBC. Here we go.
President and his son might speak by phone. They speak all the time. The president always makes a point that he speaks to all of his grandchildren every day. And so there could be that level of communication.
So there you have it, folks. He speaks to his grandchildren every day. So Hunter Biden, that's why he's on the phone with Hunter Biden. It's because he wants to speak to his grandchild. Are we forgetting somebody? I think we're forgetting somebody. We're forgetting the grandchild that Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge. Here I have the clip way back. I mean, let's go back into the Wayback Machine. Kieran Jean-Pierre giving this terrible response when she was asked about Joe Biden's refusal to acknowledge Hunter's love child with this stripper as his granddaughter. Okay, so Kieran Jean-Pierre, who is supposed to represent the president, says this about the granddaughter. Here we go. Okay, one more time. I'm going to play this for you. Let's take a listen.
There was a story in the New York Times over the weekend about Hunter Biden's daughter in Arkansas. Does the president acknowledge this little girl as his granddaughter?
I don't have anything to share from here.
I don't have anything to share from here. So she doesn't even acknowledge the granddaughter exists, Kieran Jean-Pierre. And, I had to pull this one out too because I just love it and I think about it. It's one of these moments that play in my head all day long. Governor Ron DeSantis really just blasting Joe Biden for not acknowledging his Hunter Biden's love child with this stripper, whom he had refused to try to this is the grandchild that Hunter Biden refused, the love child that Hunter Biden refused to pay child support for and was working towards or actively trying to get this little girl not to use his last name. So let's take a listen to Ron DeSantis completely blast Joe. He went there. Here we go.
Ideologues. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the education and upbringing of their children. That's the law in Florida. That needs to be the law in every state in this country. The left doesn't believe that. They believe that, well, you hear Biden. What does he say? He says, hey, these are all of our kids. They're not your kids. They're all of our kids. First of all, Joe, they're not your kids. Second of all, before you're saying they're all of our kids, why don't you spend some time with your granddaughter in Arkansas, or at least recognize her existence before you start worrying about our kids?
Oh, that's going to burn. Oh, gosh. Oh, that's embarrassing. So Joe Biden, look, he's got 7 grandchildren. I thought it was hilarious that MSNBC came out and they were like, oh, yeah, Hunter Biden's such a family man. That's why he's on the phone with Hunter today while he's getting trying to get his sweetheart plea deal. He didn't wind up getting it. The judge struck it down. But yes, so he has 7 grandchildren. The 7th is from his son, Hunter Biden, knocking up his former assistant who was a stripper. There was a court case where Hunter, the president of the United States' son, refused to pay child support and refused to let his daughter be acknowledged as a Biden. It has since been worked out in the courts. Hunter will pay some child support, but the girl is still forbidden to use the Joe Biden's last name, even though she is Hunter Biden's kid. Reports say that the granddaughter, she's 6, she loves playing with her cousins, learning to ride a bike. One day she wants to hunt like her mom. And she also knows that her father is Hunter Biden and that her grandfather is the president of the United States. And she speaks about these 2 guys frequently, right? She's 6 years old. I mean, I remember when I was 6, right, learning about the presidents of the United States. I mean, as she goes on in her life, if she's going to school, she's going to have to learn about how her grandfather, she's going to read about all these reports, how he refused to even acknowledge her existence. Joe Biden, the president of the United States, and her papa wants nothing to do with her. Okay. The White House has been ordered not to even bring her up. Did you know that? The same White House that's trying to make Joe talks with all of his grandkids every day a thing. That's not true. Okay. The MSNBC, I don't care how much you lie. Joe Biden's such a family man. No, he's not. He sucks at being a family guy as much as he does being president. All right, I do have to take a break. Now, we are going to lighten things up here, but VIVEK Ramaswamy, or to be more precise, DEBACLE. He's dropping some mics here like he dropped on the Don Lemon's career at CNN. So I've got that clip. You guys remember when he pretty much obliterated Don Lemon's career? I think VIVEK Ramaswamy single-handedly brought down Don Lemon, and that for that we should give him a round of applause. But we should also give him a round of applause for this rapping of this Eminem song, Lose Yourself. It's pretty good. I'll be back here on the other side. Hey, I'm live on Facebook, YouTube. You guys can see me there. Be sure to like, love, share this out with your normie friends. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be back. Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for joining me here on the Morning Buzz. If you are watching, go ahead and smash that like button. I would so do appreciate it. Now, I do want to read DC Drano's tweet because it's just good. Uh, so Hunter Biden simply explained what went on with that plea deal yesterday. The plea deal contained this little secret provision to provide Hunter with legal immunity for all future federal charges currently under investigation. So these are his Ukraine oligarchs bribing him, Joe Biden, right, being involved in all of that. That's what he's currently under investigation for. He and Joe Biden both kind of through the House Oversight Committee, they're talking about possibly impeaching Joe Biden to get to the bottom of all of this. Now, the judge said, "What the bleep is this? What is this? How could you put a secret provision in here granting you all kinds of immunity from future charges?" She goes, "This is garbage." And then the DOJ and the defense, they were like scratching their heads. They're like, I don't know. I don't know why we put that in there. They tried to play dumb. And then the judge was like, "Look, I've never seen that before. No deal. How do you plea now?" And Hunter was like, "Well, I plead not guilty." And Hunter is now going to trial for his crimes of both the gun charge and the tax issues, not paying his taxes. And I love how CNN has been reporting this. What they call it is like misdemeanor. They'll say, "Oh, these are just misdemeanor tax crimes. This is just petty stuff. It's stuff that happens every day." It's like, no, he didn't pay his taxes for this amount of time. If you or I were to do that, we would be going through hell. I know people who haven't paid their taxes, and they go through hell to try to pay them back. Coming up, if you guys are watching right now, please smash that like button. I so do appreciate it. Let's get to your lovely comments. I noticed the language has changed. It went from no knowledge of his son's business dealings to no involvement in his son's business dealings now. Yep, just like transitory inflation, right? They love to change the language on you. Oh, the inflation is transitory. Oh, the inflation is great. It's actually something that's needed in the economy. No, they're going to change it. I saw that coming, Jacqueline, and of course they're going to um, change the language. It's just what they're doing. Um, Here we go. Let's see. One thing that I do want to bring up today is Joe Biden's dog. Believe it or not, you're like, "Cat, is this really news?" Yes, it is. Because I actually have German Shepherds. I've had German Shepherds. It's something that I can see very, very clearly what's going on. Now, I am by no means a dog training expert, so don't consider me an expert, but I have had German Shepherds all my life. I grew up around them. My parents bred them at a time. Um, and what's going on here is that these dogs are not being taken care of in a way that they should be, and they feel threatened, and they are not being taken care of the way that they should be. Major, which was a German Shepherd dog that Joe Biden had back in 2021, had to be rehomed. Now, I haven't heard anything about what Major's life is now but I'm sure it's better. And look, if the president can't take care of his dogs, he can't take care of the country. And what's going on with these dogs is a clear indication of animal abuse. I'm just going to not like necessarily hitting or anything like that. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is hitting his dogs. All he's doing is hitting the pavement when he falls off his bike. Okay. I'm not saying that that's what's going on. There's all kinds of animal abuse when you don't let an animal um, do his job, or when you don't train an animal or give it discipline, or then it starts to just bite people and it starts to act this way. And 7 times this dog has bitten people, and there's been incidences in the last 4 months. This other dog, Commander. So it's both dogs. So clearly here there's something going on inside the home. They're not, and you would think that they would have the best dog trainers in the world, but there's something going on. And these German Shepherds, they have very keen sense of discernment, and they feel unsafe around their owners. But that's what's going on here. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now, I do want to read DC Drano. I'm going to be reading it all morning because I think it's a very important thing to bring up. The Hunter Biden plea deal and this recap of it, because you could get lost in the shuffle. I mean, at one point yesterday, I think people were saying that the plea deal was going to go through, and then it wasn't, and then what it was, and then he entered a guilty or a not guilty plea. That's what Hunter Biden did. So here's a simple recap for you. The plea deal, what it contained was this secret little provision. And what this provision did was provide Hunter Biden with legal immunity for all future federal charges currently under investigation. Then the judge looks at this secret provision and then she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What is this? And then the DOJ and the defense, they're like, well, we were hoping you weren't going to see that. And then the judge says, look, I've never seen something like this before, and this is offensive. How could you bring this to me? No deal. How do you plead now? And Hunter Biden, he pleads not guilty. Now, Hunter is going to trial for his crimes of tax crimes, the gun charge, all of it. So we are going to be digging through his plea deal. I think that's important, but also this just in, and people are like, okay, Kat, why are you bringing this up? It's important. I also have German Shepherd dogs, grew up around them, and there is a clear indication here that the Biden family is not capable of taking care of these dogs, and these dogs are in a place that it just, you don't mess with kids, you don't mess with animals. And these dogs are very clearly unhappy in the Joe Biden household. Joe Biden's dog, Commander, has now attacked 7 people in the last 4 months. Now, they had similar problems that arose back in 2021 to the point where they had to rehome a German Shepherd, Major. And that was Joe Biden's other dog. And it just breaks my heart to see that these dogs are in that household and that they are going through this. And the dogs are hurting people, Secret Service agents that we're paying money for, right? And then they have to take these long stints of relief or of they have to be out because they can't do their job and protect the president. So this is really, it just speaks to who Joe Biden is and Jill Biden is. If they can't take care of dogs, why can't they definitely cannot take care of the country. Now, I do want to bring you some good news. I like doing that here on the Morning Buzz. You can text in at 309-451-9299. You can also see me in the studio on YouTube, Facebook. You can like and subscribe to the channel. That'd be great if you subscribe to the channel. You can see me live on social media, Rumble. We're everywhere. Now, here's a good news story for you. A man, he donates a canopy to his neighbor who waves at cars. So Christopher Wetzel he's just very well known in this little town in Ohio because every day at 3 p.m. he sets up a chair and then an umbrella and a sign that reads, honk, make someone smile. So Christopher then waves nonstop at passing drivers on Route 46, and he keeps track of how many drivers honk at him. So life just got even better for Christopher here. A local businessman, get this, Carl Clay, recently stopped and donated a 10-foot by 10-foot canopy, along with some water, a cooler, and a t-shirt. And Christopher was thrilled to receive the gift, and he said, that's nice. I don't have to hold the umbrella anymore. And Carl said he just wants to keep Christopher happy and safe from the elements. And he also hopes his donation inspires people who drive by to help by putting off or dropping off a bag of ice for some of the water in his cooler. So I thought that was kind of sweet. Here you have this guy, Christopher. He's got a little chair and umbrella set up, and he's just trying to be neighborly and have people honk and smile at him. And this local businessman saw this, as hey, here's some good in the world. Here's some good in the world, and I'm just gonna make this good even brighter. I'm gonna let his light shine even brighter, and I'm gonna donate this canopy and some water for him while he does this thing where he just waves at people as they drive by. You know what I've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to sit in my driveway and just watch people speed, and I want one of those the speedometer thingies. I want one of those things where I can clock people and see if they're going too fast. Not to yell at them or anything. I'm just kind of curious how fast people are going down my street. And I'd like to know if they're speeding or not. That's just me. I'd be the speed cop. I have no issue giving somebody a speeding ticket. I've gotten enough in my lifetime to where I would have no issue giving out speeding tickets if I were a cop. All right, I'm gonna be back. Let's talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. This one is bound to put a smile on your face. Vivek, he is actually rapping "Lose Yourself." This clip resurfaced of him back in college where he's rapping this Eminem song, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. I'll be back here on the Morning Buzz. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for joining me. If you guys are watching right now, go ahead, smash that like button. Now, we do have a couple of things that I want to get to locally. This housing project, I am all for housing developments popping up here in Bloomington Normal, just because I think that it would wind up to where my housing is going to be cheaper. So, this is a major housing development going up. This is massive. So looks like it's going to supply Bloomington's west side with 700 to 800 housing units. Now, this is a business group. Uh, gosh, what it's called? Bloomington 77. That's what the group is. So they're moving forward with this 77-acre project on the north side of Market Street. Now, the Bloomington City Council, they approved this. Real simple. I don't see why you wouldn't approve it. The only dissenting a vote was Donna Bolin, and the reason for that was she said, the only concern that I have is that I'm not a fan of adding infrastructure, which is going to be required with annexation. So she's worried about the infrastructure and if Bloomington can withstand this 700 to 800 units, I guess. She also says, I know that you're going to be paying for bringing in the infrastructure, but over the long run, the city will have to maintain it. And to be honest, we're having trouble maintaining what we have. So, I mean, she does have a point there. There's a few things that I believe government need to be in charge of. That's public safety. You need to make sure people aren't killing people in the street. And then you also need to make sure that there's running water for everybody and, hard infrastructure, the roads, things like that. So I see her point. Now they came back and they said, hey, it's not going to cost that much. It's actually going to pay for itself because it's going to raise all this money or it's going to make all this money. How much was it? Yeah. So this is what Neil Finlan of the Farnsworth Group had said. He responded for the developer. He said, we needed to look at what the tap-on fees would be, what costs would be involved that would be seen by the city. So obviously, more housing means more added cost to the city to try to maintain some things like infrastructure. And he goes, when you add all that up, the paycheck or the pay pack to the city is in excess of $1.4 million. So he claims that there's going to be, enough money brought back to the city to pay for all of the added infrastructure costs. I don't believe that. I'm sure that they're going to have to bite the bullet on it. You just are going to have to decide on things like, oh, I don't know, fun projects, right? Donna, what I would suggest is start cutting things like recreational parks. I would start cutting things like grossing your motors arena, dumping money into that, things like that, things that you don't need. Look at your needs, look at your wants, get rid of the wants, and make sure you focus on the needs. That's what I mean. At the end of the day, that's what government is supposed to be. We'll be back in just a second. Be sure to smash that like button. Joe Biden's dog attacked 7 people in just 4 months. Whoa. Similar problems arose, if you guys remember, back in 2021. That was a different dog, Major. They're both German Shepherds. The reason why I wanted to bring this up today, it's clear that Joe Biden can't take care of these dogs. Whoever is in charge of taking care of these dogs definitely can't take care of these dogs. And if they can't even do that, then how are they supposed to be taking care of a country? Sorry. If you can't take care of your dog, you can't take care of a country. And this dog is biting people. And the reason why this is important is because we pay for the Secret Service. A lot of these Secret Service agents, they are getting injured to the point where they have to take a leave of absence, and nobody's protecting the president. Like that's kind of a big deal. So we are going to be getting to that, but first I do want to get to Vivek Ramaswamy. A little bit of a fun story here for you. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he was rapping in college, and look, while Joe Biden is directing his lawyers and the DOJ to try to figure out how to sweeten this deal up, Hunter Biden is now pleading not guilty. There is a secret provision within this plea deal that gave Hunter legal immunity to not face any other kind of federal charges in the future. And the judge looked at that and she goes, "Are you kidding me with this right now? You've got to be joking." And she goes, "I'm not giving you this sweetheart deal for the tax crimes and for the gun charge." And Hunter was like, "Oh boy, she found out, folks." Yes, of course she found out, Hunter. She's a judge. So they were like, "Well, let's change our plea." And they pled not guilty. So now he's going to have to go to trial. So Joe Biden, he's like panicking. He's on the phone. He's trying to figure out, I'm sure, right? Because he's such a family man, to try to figure out how to get his son Hunter out of this mess. Now, while all that's going on, it's nice to step back and just kind of enjoy some human stories. So Vivek Ramaswamy, who I mean, I love him. I think that he would definitely be my second choice. Ron DeSantis, there's some things in Florida that I don't like that he's doing as far as raising insurance premiums. He's in bed with the insurance companies, right? And he even signed a bill that makes it to where it's almost impossible to sue these insurance companies if they give you pennies for your insurance claim, right? And this was after a devastating hurricane in Florida. I think that that's awful. Uh, but he's going down in the polls, folks. Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy is right there, toe and toe with them. I think in one poll we actually had them tied, uh, both Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis. So here's him spitting hot fire on the mic back in college. Vivek Ramaswamy, to be more precise, Devek, that's what he went by in college. And no, he isn't spitting bars about ESG scores. It's not woke rap. It's Eminem's Lose Yourself. Now, Eminem, he made some sort of rap song about Donald Trump and he's an anti-Trumper. I get it. I love the song Lose Yourself. It has a good message to it. I'm not much of a rap fan, but I do like Lose Yourself. Eminem is probably the only rapper I know. Ice Cube, maybe the next rapper. Before I get to that, though, I do want to remind everybody that Vivek Ramaswamy single handedly, I think, took down Don Lemon's career. He did. So let's take a listen to how that all went down. Just a reminder, just to freshen this up, because here we are. We have Vivek Ramaswamy dropping the mic like he dropped Don Lemon's career at CNN. Here we go. Let's go back into the Wayback Machine.
And the sad part about it,
fought for black people to have guns. I think
actually, you know, funny fact is black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned that we
have
three different shades.
Don, I think we have to be able to talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to 1865 and 1964 is actually, I think it's insulting to black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit here and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong. What
part of the history was wrong? What part of the history was wrong?
So, for those of you who don't know, Vivek Ramaswamy is a brown man. He's Hindu. And essentially what Don Lemon was saying there was, you know what? You're not brown enough to talk about the Civil War. That's essentially what Don Lemon was saying there. And it was deeply offensive. And he lost his career over it, really. So here's Vivek Ramaswamy again dropping the mic, but this time he's rapping the Eminem song "Lose Yourself." I do want to play this for you. Go ahead, throw it into the comments if you're watching online or on the text line 309-451-9299. What's your favorite Eminem song? Do you like the song "Lose Yourself"? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how well does Vivek Ramaswamy do here?
Yourself in the music, the moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the music, the moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
There you have it. I bet you this is today, and video Busta Rhymes, which was a rap group, and he tells Politico, he goes, "Look, I honestly saw myself, making it big through American capitalism," and he did just that. I mean, he's this huge entrepreneur type guy, and he goes, "That's why Eminem's story spoke to me, and that's why I chose that song to audition." The presidential candidate here, Vivek Ramaswamy, he was drawn to the rapper because, well, Vivek didn't grow up in a trailer, right? Which is what the song "Lose Yourself" is all about. It's about, growing up in trailers and, wanting to make it big one day. He also didn't have the same circumstances as most of his peers at Harvard did either. He's Hindu, right? He had it tougher than a lot of his peers at Harvard. And I like what he says here. He's growing up in trailers with a single mom, and he wants to make it. He's going to use the moment to do it. He's going to use this moment to do it, and he feels like he's going to use the moment to do it. He seizes it and he makes it happen. And I thought it was a pretty cool story. So that's what Vivek Ramaswamy says about the song "Lose Yourself." Unfortunately, we all know what happens next, folks. 217 billion journalismers, they're going to be clacking away on their keyboards, their little keyboard warriors, and they're going to be on the phone with Eminem looking for comment, and they're going to be like, "Eminem, are you going to bash Vivek Ramaswamy and all conservatives because he rapped your song years ago while he attended Harvard?" Eminem, I could see the headline. Eminem claps back at Vivek Ramaswamy, and we all know that Eminem is a left wing, but it's so bad. I mean, heaven forbid you let a cool, humanizing moment go by. I think that this is a pretty cool moment for Vivek Ramaswamy. I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for joining me. Did y'all hear about that housing development going up called Bloomington 77? It's on a 77 acre project. I'm all for these housing projects. Anything to bring my rent down, folks, and I'm sure you're there with me. Donna Bolin did have a point in voting no. It was a 7-1. She dissented. I do think that she had a nice point here to make. I'm going to be talking about that here on the other side. That was the Bloomington City Council meeting where they approved this housing project. Like I said, I'm all for it because anything to bring down these housing prices here in Bloomington normal. I know you guys feel it. If you're renting and if you're looking for a home, right, you know what this housing shortage is all about. We're looking at a need right now, according to some reports, um, about 9,000 units. I think that's what this is. So I'm going to be digging through our job or our housing shortage on the other side and why Donna Bolin voted no and why it kind of makes sense. I'm kind of glad she voted no because at least people will look into why she voted no and, we can document, hey, Donna said this years ago if this winds up happening. I know I'm teasing this. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Morning Buzz. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the live stream. If you guys are watching, go ahead, like, love, comment, share. I'm still MAGA, but V is up and coming. Yes, Vivek Ramaswamy. Lose yourself. I love that song. I could rap that song. I can't. I'm not a very good rapper. I don't listen to rappers, but not my thing. I agree with you, Kim. It's also not my thing. Now, what I do wanna talk about, coming up with this massive housing project that is going if you live in Bloomington, this is gonna affect you. It's gonna address some of these houses that we need here, some of the housing. So in October of 2022, the Bloomington Normal Economic Council, CEO stated that the area needed, like, 8,000 more homes by 2030 as a result of 6,000 jobs Rivian added to the community during 2021 and 2022. Now, the CEO said there was a full study done back in May of 2020, and it was forecasted that we needed over 4,000 homes in May of 2022. But that study was based on 2020 data and did not include the 6,000 jobs created by Rivian. So in March of 2023, Rivian reported 7,400 employees with 4,000 employees created a need for an additional 4,000 housing units. One could easily forecast that another 1,400 employees, right? So they reported 7,400 employees. This is going to create another need for 1,000 units. And that would mean that we're currently looking for about 9,000. We need about 9,000 uh, housing units to house these people from Rivian. So that's why we're going through this housing shortage, Rivian, and, we've got the farm, we've got all kinds of Bloomington Normal, people are coming to Bloomington Normal. I think it's one of the top counties that was moved into. Now, a lot of people are moving out of Illinois. Now, I hope that's also being accounted for when a lot of these Bloomington Normal economic development people sit down and do these studies. But um, this project that is popping up here in Bloomington should be addressing some of this because this is the 700 to 800 housing unit. So this is quite a bit of housing. Now there's going to be apartments, townhomes, things like that. Donna, she voted no. And I think that the reason why she voted no was actually a good reason. She said she's not a fan of adding infrastructure, which is going to be required with this annexation. So she's sticking with that here vote. She says that paying for bringing in this infrastructure, we're going to have to be paying more money to bring in this infrastructure. Um, and, over the long run, we're gonna have to maintain it. Even though these people came back, the Consolidated Construction Company, they said that they're going and this Neil Finland Farnworth Group, they said, "Oh, well, we're actually gonna make a ton of money. The city's gonna have an access of $1.4 million to address infrastructure and maintain the infrastructure." And she said that we're already having a hard time maintaining the infrastructure in Bloomington as is. I would imagine the consolidated sewer system is probably still not fixed. Roads, hard infrastructure, basic necessities, things like garbage pickup. That's a big thing for downtown Bloomington. So basic infrastructure needs to be addressed before you add on all of these big dollar units. Um, I agree with that 100%. And I think that she voted correctly here. I wouldn't have voted that way just because I think that, housing shortage, uh, infrastructure might have some trouble down the road. Um, I probably would have voted for the housing because we are in one right now, and I would probably not vote for things like the grocery store arena or want recreational parks, things like that. If you don't vote for spending on all of the wants, then you'll have the money for your needs. It's not a it's a spending problem, not a revenue problem. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for joining me. A little bit later, we are going to be digging into, oh boy, Jason Aldean. His small town video on YouTube got edited. So there was all kinds of BLM footage in it. There was about 6 seconds that were edited out. Now, there have been conflicting reports, and I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So people are saying that it was a Jason Aldean call, that his people made that call. And look, if that were to be the case, I would be very upset. Jason Aldean caved under pressure to remove all the Black Lives Matter footage from his music video despite receiving an outpouring of support from conservatives. Hey, I mean, so much for that. No more heroes. Uh, Gotta have it both ways by pretending to be based for all that cash while posing and to be woke and the woke in the business if you want to keep getting invited to the Grammys, right? So that's um, my concern here is that he was trying to do all of this for cash, right? He wants the cash from the conservatives, he wants the support from the actual country music listeners, but then in the same breath, he wants the, prestige of being invited to the Grammys, the CMT prestige. I don't know if he was the guy behind it. I find it hard to believe that he's the guy behind editing this footage out of his video on YouTube. I'm gonna break that down for you. uh, amid all of the leftist outrage over this song, Try That in a Small Town. Right? If you haven't heard it, then you're living under a rock because I'm telling you, everybody's heard this song. It's like number 2 in the Billboard Hot 100, and I mean, the streams have increased 999%. The sales have jumped through the roof. So we'll get to that here coming up in just a bit. Plus, Joe Biden's dog, Commander, this just in a report saying that he's attacked people 7 times in just 4 months. The dog, Amanda. Now, that might sound familiar to you because Major's dog, his other dog, had to be rehomed back in 2021 for the same issue. I have German Shepherds. This is a clear indication that Joe Biden is not capable of taking care of his dog, that there's no discipline going on, there's no training going on. These dogs are work animals, and it's animal abuse if you continue to let them bite people. It's animal abuse, and it's not fair to the human. Right? The humans the dogs are fighting are Secret Service agents whom we are paying for via our taxpayer dollars to try to protect the president of the United States. So we will be getting to all of that here on the Morning Buzz. Before I took a break, I was telling you about a massive housing settlement coming to Bloomington. Donna Bolin, she voted no on it. I kind of like how she voted no. I would have voted yes, just because I think that we need to address the housing shortage more so than this hypothetical of do we have the infrastructure to run and maintain this housing project. So it's coming to Bloomington. It's going to be on the north side of Market Street. It's called Bloomington 7. It's a 77-acre plot. We're looking at about 700 to 800 housing units. So this is going to be a big development, and there's been a housing shortage here in Bloomington Normal. We know this. People are coming to Bloomington Normal for the jobs here in Rivian, and there's just not enough houses for them. Now, I've seen different forecasts. I saw one back in May of 2022 that suggested that we need 4,000 homes in order to address the housing market. Now we're looking at about 9,000. So I don't know what numbers are exactly correct. There's all kinds of studies out there. I do have to take a break. I didn't get to it. But Donna Bolin, she voted no. And the reason why is because she's worried about maintaining the infrastructure. And she said, to be honest, we're having trouble maintaining what we have. And I'm going to be back in the live stream, going to unpack that vote from Donna. I think that it was a strong vote, a good vote. I wouldn't have voted that way personally. However, she has a point. Uh, Government, you should be all about public safety and herd infrastructure. All right. If you guys are watching, go ahead and let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm getting reports of the audio cutting up. If that is the case, please throw that into the comment section. Like I said, Donna Boland's vote, I think, was awesome. Um, I'm glad that she said it and that at least it's on record saying that, hey, I'm worried about our current infrastructure. I'm worried about I know that you're worried about if you live in the city of Bloomington, consolidated the road, garbage, these critical infrastructure systems that are having issues. Um, and are you going to be able to maintain such a massive housing unit here in Bloomington if you can't even maintain what you've got? So, what I think needs to happen is a complete overhaul of thinking on that council. You need to adjust what your needs are and what your wants are. The Carson Motors Arena, that's the one. You're pouring money into that. You're pouring money into capital projects, recreational parks, swimming pools. That's all one. Okay, so if you stop pouring money into that and you start pouring it money into the hard critical infrastructure like roads, sewer systems, things like that, then you are going to be a-okay. It's not a revenue problem. It's not. It's what you are spending your money. And I think you can have the housing project and also address the hard infrastructure. I think it will be fine. You just have to do a complete overhaul and adjust your thinking a bit on your needs and wants. That's my advice to the Bloomington City Council moving forward. This is going to take a lot of maintenance, I'm sure. This is something that I don't think um, should be like, "Oh, it's just 700, 800 housing units." No, like, a huge housing development like that is gonna change some things for the city of Bloomington, and it's gonna change it by a lot. And hopefully for the better. It's going to adjust the rent prices, I hope, right? Addressing the housing shortage. I mean, that's why we're seeing rent increase here in Bloomington normal. You're seeing it increase just everywhere. But housing prices increase. I think the average home here in Bloomington normal costs about $227,000. That's insanity, and that's not like a nice home either, because you should be able to get a nice house for at least, $100,000, not like $225,000. Like, you can't get anything in Bloomington if you're not spending over $200,000, and that's a bit ridiculous. And this isn't like extravagant houses. These are like two-bedroom homes. So, I'm hoping that this addresses the shortage, thereby, helping, um the prices come down. If you flood the market, if you supply demand, right, take it basic economics. If you have more supply and demand goes down, then you're going to be able to pull back on that pricing, hopefully. So we'll see. And like Brenda, totally agree with you, Kat. Government should not be an entertainment business. That being said, is extremely hard to understand. I will have to figure out what's going on. Crazy hard. Let's see. I don't know if this is gonna work, folks. I tried to fix the, microphone here. We'll see if that works, but as always, if you having problems, you can always tune in on our app. Just find it in the App Store, Cities 92.9. MSNBC, you gotta be kidding me. They are rushing to shield Joe Biden from this Hunter Biden debacle, and what MSNBC tries to do in this report is to remind America that Joe Biden refuses, uh, that they're trying to remind America that Joe Biden is a big family man, despite the fact that he refuses to acknowledge his granddaughter. Okay. Oh, Joe Biden's such a family man. He's on the phone with Hunter Biden on the day that he's getting this plea deal or supposed to get it. Ha! You didn't get it, Hunter. You had to plead not guilty because the judge said, "Nuh-uh-uh, you're not getting away with this secret provision that allows you to have legal immunity in future federal charges. That's not happening. I'm a judge. No. How do you plea now? Well, I'm pleading not guilty now, Your Honor." Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This is the morning buzz. And MSNBC, they're rushing. They are in defend Joe Biden at all costs mode. They're like, oh my gosh, we have to do something to defend this guy. We have to defend Joe Biden. And I'm gonna get to this MSNBC report, and your head is gonna pop. Because I can't believe they actually said this part out loud. The president always makes it a point to speak to all of his grandchildren every day. And he's on the phone with all of his kids all the time. That's why he's on the phone with his son today during his plea deal hearing. Like, come on. Oh my gosh. You just said that. Are we forgetting somebody? You're forgetting the love child that Hunter had with a stripper, and Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge the poor kid's existence. All right, we will get to that, but more about Joe Biden and his scumbagness. Scumbagginess? Scumbagginess. Let's get to Commander, the dog. He's attacked 7 people now, just within the last 4 months, and that's Joe Biden's dog. This might sound familiar because there were some issues with the other dog, Major, who was also a German Shepherd. And that happened back in 2021, and it led to them having to rehome the dog. We're going to get to that, plus Jason Aldean. I hope Jason Aldean is not bending the knee, but I'm hearing reports that he is. There's BLM footage, Antifa footage in this song. It's a video. Try that in a small town, and I love the song Jason Aldean did. But it appears that somebody had edited like a part of the video out that illustrated crime riots that were broadcasted into our homes in 2020. Local news, they picked up a lot of these riots that were happening because of George Floyd overdosing on fentanyl. And there were 6 seconds worth of the video edited out on YouTube. And Washington Post, they have been combing through this video and analyzing it like their life depends on it, of course. The journalismers at Washington Post, they've got nothing better to do but think about Jason Aldean all day. And they caught this, so I'm hoping that Jason Aldean didn't bend the knee. We're gonna get to it. Let's get to Commander first, though, the pup. The poor pup. It's like, I don't blame the dog. Joe Biden's dog, Commander, has been found to be biting multiple people around the White House, and these attacks have totaled out to 7 in the last few months. The German Shepherd bit several Secret Service agents between October of 2022 and January of 2023. That's according to a report from the New York Post. A series of incidents come after some similar problems with another family dog called Major. Major was also a German Shepherd, but they had to rehome him. The Jen Psaki, the previous White House press secretary, Psaki, so she was the White House press secretary. She refused to comment on these instances. I remember when she was asked about Major at the time, and she didn't give any kind of detailed explanation about what happened. And like, they refused to even talk about it. But there's Major biting all of these Secret Service agents. Biden reportedly went as far as to say that the agent lied about Major biting one of the other agents. So Joe Biden is trying to justify this dog biting people, which is a big no-no. As a pet owner, as me personally, I have owned German Shepherds. I have a huge German Shepherd back home. His name's Lightning. He's a good dog, good boy. He loves kids. He loves other animals. He's not too fond of motorcycles. We had to really try to train him to not go chase motorcycles or bicycles. He's not a big fan of those, but we've gotten it under control. I swear by a shock collar. If you've got a shock collar on a German Shepherd and you start them out early on a shock collar, you are going to be just fine. Right? People are like, "Oh, that's animal." No, you have to discipline a dog. These are work animals, and they are guard dogs, and when they have no direction, they start to act out in this way. And it's clear that despite all of the money that Joe Biden has to hire, best dog trainers in the world, that they can't get this dog under control, which means the dog has no idea what he's protecting. He's confused. I don't know if he thinks that he's protecting Joe, Jill, and the dogs, unprovoked. That's the thing, is that these are all unprovoked incidences. So we have a report coming in about Commander, the dog that is still at the White House, clamping down on the arm and leg of a Secret Service agent back in November of 2022. Unprovoked, the dog came down the stairwell where the agent was sitting and bit the agent on the tricep. Wow. Then the agent stood up. Commander then went for the quad muscle and bit his leg as well. So he bit him on the arm, bit him on the leg. The agent was forced to use a steel part. I guess there was some sort of steel part there to try to prevent further attack. And he said that he was in considerable amounts of pain. Yeah, being bit by a German Shepherd probably does hurt a lot. Never has happened to me. We've had German Shepherds all my life. My parents bred and raised German Shepherds, but this Secret Service agent was in a lot of pain. The agent was sent to the hospital and was placed on restricted duty for several days. Wow. So, little fun fact: us as taxpayers, we pay Secret Service agents. Like our taxpayer dollars go to fund the Secret Service agency. Another agent wrote to the injured Secret Service agent. Now, I don't know if this was in a text message or what, but he said, "What a joke. If it wasn't their dog, he would have already been put down. Um, Needs to be muzzled." Yeah, so when a dog bites that many times, I have no issue. If the dog is clearly a danger to people, you can't risk the lives of people for a dog. Okay. At the end of the day, human life is very sacred. Not that pet lives aren't. So don't get all upset with me. Okay. But you can't have dogs uh, uh, running around biting people. Something has got to happen. I don't know why this dog. I mean, this has been going on since 2022. Why he wasn't rehomed like Major was, and why Major was allowed. The other German Shepherd that they had was allowed to bite Secret Service agents as well for the time that he did. Just a few days after November 10th, 2022, the First Lady, Jill Biden, was walking the dog around the White House. And then another agent was attacked by Commander. Quote, "I saw Commander exit the Kennedy Garden and sprint towards me. I immediately stopped, put my hands up. Commander then bit me on my left thigh and ran back towards the First Lady." He wrote in an email to administrators. This is what the Secret Service agent had said about the incident. Um, even after all of the earlier incidents, an attack occurred when Joe Biden decided to let his dog off the leash on the White House lawn. You don't do that. If the dog has all kinds of issues, you don't let the dog off on a leash. Get a shock collar, get a choke collar, and you gotta discipline a shepherd. You have to. They need direction. And Joe Biden is just not capable. I mean, come on, he's like a billion years old. He's like Mitch McConnell up there, right? Having these mind blanks, which we're gonna get to in just a minute here. Mitch McConnell needs to retire at this point. Like, I hated the guy. Like, he was the number one rhino. I despised him. At this point, it's sad to see Mitch McConnell up there. I mean, he took a blank, just like, completely lost where he was at up there yesterday. So that's big news. We're gonna get to that, but let me finish this. President Joe Biden allowed Commander to be let off on the leash in the on the White House lawn here, um, and let him run free. The dog subsequently bit an agent whose injuries included a bite on his left forearm, resulting in bruising and approximately 1.5 centimeter cut and bite around his right hand. So yeah, these dogs are dangerous. Joe Biden doesn't care. And, look, if he's going to let these transgender people out on the White House lawn with their tatas flying out and and gay pride flags flying at the same level as the American flag, I mean, anything goes with this administration. It doesn't matter. It's just a free for all. Who cares? Dogs biting people, dogs biting the people who are supposed to be protecting me. Yeah, the who cares? It's just you can't protect you can't take care of a dog, you can't take care of the nation. All right, now amid all of this leftist outrage over this Jason Aldean song, "Try That in a Small Town," it appears that someone has now gone back into the video, "Try That in a Small Town." There's a music video. The song's been out since May. So I don't understand why all the outrage is happening now. It's probably because the video is paired with it. But in the video, there's all kinds of crimes, riots that were broadcasted into our homes. It's just real news footage in the video. And they were broadcasted into our homes back in 2020. We remember this during the George Floyd riots when George Floyd overdosed on fentanyl. 6 seconds worth of that video have been edited out of the Try That in a Small Town, Try That in a Small Town music video. So Washington Post, Compost, the journalismers over there have been analyzing this video because they have nothing better to do with their lives. In this most recent piece of content that they're trying to pass off as news, the Washington Post, they're talking about how the video has now 6 seconds. It's now 6 seconds shorter. It's 6 seconds shorter. Ah! And when it was first uploaded on July 14th, the video was uploaded on July 14th. Those 6 seconds were from a Fox 5 Atlanta news clip, and they analyzed it, and it was about, or it was this news footage of this fiery, but mostly peaceful, right? Mostly peaceful riot that took place about 3 years ago. So they took a part of this Fox 5 Atlanta. It was a news clip, and they took some of that out. So portions of the clip appeared in the original music video twice. At one point, it was projected onto the exterior wall of the Tennessee courthouse. People are like, "Oh, Tennessee courthouse, it's racist." Blah. Fact, Hannah Montana, the movie, was actually this courthouse was featured in that movie as well. So, like, they didn't call Hannah Montana racist. They didn't call Miley Cyrus racist for including this in the Hannah Montana the movie. So it's unclear right now. I'm not going to go out there and say that Jason Aldean. There are some outlets reporting that Jason Aldean was the person who edited this video, or like as people did, right? Or he called for it. I don't think so. I don't see how he would do. I just don't understand because it doesn't make sense. I mean, up until this point, he's refused to back down. From what I'm hearing, he has caved now and edited the video, his people, but it just doesn't line up for me. This was, I mean, in his statement, when the controversy first popped off, he said that this was all real news footage and the attacks against him were not only meritless but dangerous. This past weekend, he told an audience full of fans that if people don't like what you say, they try to make sure that they cancel you, and that's exactly what CMT, Paramount, MTV, they all did, to Jason Aldean. Um, and he said that they try to ruin your life, ruin everything, and then he played the song live over the weekend. So let's hope that this is not the beginning sign of Aldean bending the knee. I hope that this was just a ScrewTube YouTube thing where they were like, "Oh, well, for copyright reasons, we have to take out 6 seconds of this video." The Aldeans, Brittany, his wife, have not been known to bend the knee, which is why I find it hard to believe that he's behind this. I haven't seen anything definitive that suggests that he's behind this. Brittany Aldean, she's this fashion entrepreneur. She's a mom. She's this wife to this country music guy, Jason Aldean. And she even posted a video a few months back where she said this in a snarky little caption. She was, doing hair, makeup, stuff like that. And she goes, "I really would like to thank my parents for not changing my gender when I went through my tomboy phase. I love this girly life." So that's what she captioned one of her videos. So the family is not known to bend the knee on things. Um, but if this is Jason Aldean bending the knee and editing this video, I'm gonna be very upset. And he needs to look at who is on his side and who hates him. Hint, um, the song didn't see a 999% increase in streams. That's 3 nines, folks. 999 because the Washington Post journalismers or the CMT employees are streaming the song. Okay, you need to realize who is on your side, Jason. I'm gonna be back here on the morning buzz. Next, we are going to be digging into. There's a few things I want to get into. Specifically, let's talk about how I've got this story Hillary Clinton blaming warm summer days on MAGA Republicans. I talked a little bit about that yesterday, but the backlash she received online was so rich, so beautiful. We'll talk about it here next. Okay, I think that my audio is a bit better. Please let me know if it is. If you're watching, smash that like button, the love button, and subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out, and I would greatly appreciate if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and get your friends to subscribe. This content can't be brought to you unless I have subscribers. That's the way it goes. I have to have subscribers in order to continue to bring this content to you. So Hillary Clinton, she came out and she said that the hot weather, like it's gonna be another hot day, folks. Okay, it's July, always warm in July. So Hillary Clinton, she just kind of pops up out of nowhere sometimes, and she just, says things on Twitter occasionally, even though we all want her to go back um, into her hole and just never come back out. It's like stop. You're over. You're done. You lost the 2016 election. Get out of here. In response to hot summer temperatures in the United States, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton tweeted, MAGA Republicans are responsible for the heat. Quote tweeted, the CAP action. They claim it's a nonpartisan policy institute and advocacy organization that is dedicated to improving lives of all Americans through bold progressive ideas. Okay. I can already tell that this is not a nonpartisan organization. Bold progressive ideas. The organization highlighted headlines pointing out hot temperatures. Yes, it's hot. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up um, is that, and I've been doing some thinking on it, and I got to get my tinfoil hat out, and people are going to be like, "Kat, you're doing it again. Your conspiracy theories are too much for me." I don't care. So Bill Gates, that was doing he's been doing this for some time. It's called sulfur dioxide. And what he's been trying to do is block out this is not fake, right? This is what Bill Gates has very publicly stated he wants to do is block out some of the UV rays. Um, Now from my time in 6th grade science, UV rays, what they do, they, you know, break down the atmosphere, make it easier for gases to get into the atmosphere, blah blah blah. I don't know. He wants to block out the sun essentially with this sulfur dioxide, and wants to make it to where the UV rays are harder to get to the planet. And I was thinking that these Canadian wildfires didn't add up. I I I didn't understand it. The jet streams. I like how does is it that the Canadian wildfires come all the way down to Illinois, Kentucky, all here in the Midwest? Didn't make a whole lot of sense. Then I read the sulfur dioxide stuff and how Bill Gates is actively trying to block out the sun. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's probably what I was smelling. That's probably what I was seeing in the air. Maybe it wasn't the Canadian wildfires. Now, I don't think that, there's video footage of these Canadian wildfires happening. Um, And I'm not saying that they didn't happen. What I am saying is that they did happen, and perhaps the spraying of this sulfur dioxide to block out the sun, Bill Gates, happened at the same time. My point of bringing all of this up is these climate change green weenies, Hillary Clinton trying to say that the planet is on the verge of explosion because of climate change. These are the same exact people who are causing these weather phenomena that are bizarre and wacky. So when a phenomenon happen, there's a few things that you can kind of point to it. So we've had some really bad flooding here in Bloomington, the June floods, back in, I think it was 2021. I'll never forget them. It was insane. People were kayaking. They were kayaking in the streets. And the there was a farmer I was talking to, and he says, "Well, yeah, the reason why a lot of this flooding has started to happen here in central Illinois and just in Illinois, right, in these farming communities is because of tiling. This is where they put tiling down. It's supposed to be some sort of green weenie thing for our fields. They also have things like no-till. So you guys remember the I-55 where all those people died, and there was like essentially a dust storm here in central Illinois, and all of those people died on I-55 down there by Springfield. Devastating. Uh, but that could have been prevented had there been less regulation around tillage. They don't want you to till because I guess the carbon emissions, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of, like, wacky things that happen could probably be directly related to things that they've done to try to combat climate. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Um, they're the ones who are kinda doing wacky things and almost pseudoscience, like, trying to block out the sun with sulfur dioxide does not sound healthy. I don't care what way you go about it. So Hillary Clinton, they were just gonna sit there and say, "It's MAGA Republicans' fault." Actually, no, it's probably your fault because you got trying all this pseudoscience crap that doesn't work. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz, and before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Hillary Clinton. Blech. Sorry, I know. I don't know why she won't go away, but she just won't, folks, and in response to the hot summer that we're having here in the United States, because I don't know, it's July? She tweeted out, and she goes, "MAGA Republicans are responsible for the heat." My god. Clinton, she was quoted, uh, or she quote tweeted the CAT action. So they claim that they are a nonpartisan policy institute, and they advocate for improving lives of all Americans through bold, progressive ideas. Yeah, I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here and say that this isn't a nonpartisan organization, and that this organization likely supports Democrats always. So the organization highlighted headlines pointing out the hot temperatures that we've had. Like, here's one: Phoenix, its record for 19th day of 110 plus degrees in a row. There's been all kinds of other ones. 39-day heat wave. We have had heat in the past. This is July. Clinton, what are you talking about? She says, hot enough for you? Think a MAGA Republican or better, vote them out of office. And here's my thing. I was telling people on the live stream, and you guys can see me live in the studio here. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Rumble. We're there. The green weenies, they always come up with this weird stuff that does have some sort of effect on the climate. So I know you guys are gonna say that it's wacky, but look it up. Bill Gates, right now, he's trying to block out the sun with sulfur dioxide. And if I'm not mistaken, we remember smelling kind of a sulfur type smell in the air and having this weird hue in central Illinois. Now they say it's the Canadian wildfire. Okay. Uh, Bill Gates has been very open about how he has been trying to block out the sun. there's all kinds of pseudoscience that cause climate change, like, actually cause climate change. These climate change activists are advocating they're fighting against. So, for example, on I-55 down in Springfield, I was talking with a farmer, and he, was telling me, that could have been prevented. I was like, "Really?" He was talking about the tillage. There's all kinds of tilling regulations nowadays. Farmers are all for, no-till, things like that to prevent carbon emissions or something like that, and that not tilling the land caused this dust storm to happen, and there was a big dust storm that happened on I-55, and it caused, I don't even know, it was tens of, I mean, not 100, but, pretty dang close, of people dying. I mean, this was a pileup on I-55, and people died because of it, and it's just a weird dust that happened. And then the record droughts, right? The June floods of 2021, right here in Bloomington. I know you remember those. People say that that's because of tiling that they do out in the fields, regulation that they want you to have this tiling, and that causes some major flooding. There's things that this pseudoscience, they're trying to do things through science, and they don't actually listen to the scientists, and they don't actually listen to the farmers who are out there doing this every day. And they come up with these pseudoscience type stuff that actually cause the climate to change and cause people to die. In the example of the I-55 pileup, right? So if you really want to prevent things like wacky things happening with weather, I would suggest voting for MAGA Republicans, because they're not going to try to pretend that they're the scientists and, you know, put things in like carbon pipelines that could explode or make little to no sense, right? Where they're taking carbon emissions and funneling it down into the ground for storage. Uh, and like that makes no sense. Who profits off of that? Oh, right, the government. Um, but MAGA Republicans are fear them. And Hillary, I'm sorry, the Democrats, if you want to prevent wacky things happening with the weather, I would say vote in MAGA Republicans instead. You guys are the ones that are trying all of this weird pseudoscience that causes people to die. Carbon pipelines in Sahersha, Mississippi. Look it up. The gassing out of Sahersha, these carbon pipelines. They tried to do this weird carbon emissions pipeline and or carbon pipeline, and it didn't work out for them. All right, we are going to be back here on Morning Buzz talking with Scott Robbins for Scott's Takes at Cities 92.9. Yeah, Robbins for Scott's Takes right here on the Morning Buzz. I'm Kat Peterson. And did you see DC Drano's tweet, by the way?
DC Drano?
Yeah, do you know who that is?
No, I'm afraid you have to get me up to speed on DC Drano.
He's just a conservative, pungent guy, and his tweets, I live for him. They're really good. And he broke down the Hunter Biden plea deal, and I think you're really going to like this.
Okay.
So he says the plea deal contained a secret provision to provide Hunter Biden with legal immunity for all future federal charges that he's currently under investigation for, right? The secret business dealings or the business dealings. Then the judge says, what is this?
Yeah.
And the DOJ and the defense, they're like, well, and then the judge is like, never seen this before in my life. No deal. How do you plea now? And then Hunter Biden has to come back with the, well, I plead not guilty. And now he's going to trial for all of his crimes. And I like how he put that DC Drano. It was just a simple recap. And he highlighted that secret provision where he's trying to get immunity for all of these other crimes that he's being investigated for, possibly.
You know, it's interesting because I read some tea leaves that this was, I mean, there were still a lot of people out there. And I remember telling people, like, look, this doesn't make necessarily, give him immunity for everything else. And I'm thinking to myself, is his lawyer actually arguing that if he pleads guilty, you can't touch him on anything? That's what this means? Well, that's not going to fly. And as it turns out, that's exactly what he was doing. He wanted immunity for everything else. And no, we're not doing that. We're not playing that game. So I don't know how you're going to plead guilty for a charge. Everybody knows you're going to plead guilty on it. And then when the charge actually is revealed and what else is involved, you all of a sudden change your plea. Well, you either are guilty or not guilty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, once you tell people you're guilty of these charges, thinking you're going to get some sweetheart deal, then all of a sudden you reverse course and go, well, now I've changed my mind. I'm really not guilty. Wow. I mean, I don't know enough about the legal system, and I want to pretend I do, but I really don't. But I do know this was not a good day. This is not a good day for the Biden household. I think they thought he was just going to go in there and spend a couple of hours there, make his plea, hear the counter argument, and the judge was going to hit the gavel and go, okay, we accept your plea. Here's your slap on the wrist. Be on your way. Well, that's not what happened. And that's not what's going to happen moving forward. Look, man, this guy, and speaking of Hunter Biden, did you see the KGP tap dance that was going on yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
About the reporters asking about Hunter Biden, and she kept maintaining he's a private citizen.
The private citizen. It's just a private
This
citizen.
is a personal matter. This is a personal matter. He's a private citizen. A private citizen with a motorcade. And like what? Seriously, were there like 7 cars in the motorcade that brought him there?
Yeah.
I mean, he lives at the White House, travels with his dad on official business, at his dad's side advising him on things. He's the influence of his dad. This guy was a private citizen. He'd be in jail already. Okay, for the things he did.
He's on video snorting coke.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Like, what?
I mean, every other private citizen would have gone to jail for this. There's no question about it. And then he said he was sober, but he was in some sort of drug haze when he didn't pay his taxes. I just got to tell you from experience, the IRS doesn't give a flip what your issues were for not filing your taxes. Case in point, I was in a coma. They don't care. I was barely able to function. They don't care. They don't care about that. They want their money. They want their money, and they're going to get their money. But the judge is like, well, I thought you were sober when this was going on. I thought you said, well, I had some relapses in there and blah, blah. Unbelievable. So again, follow the bouncing ball. But the private citizen who travels with an entourage, like all private citizens do, like when Kat comes to work, going down Veterans, there's like 6 black cars behind her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's a private citizen. She's a private citizen. She got a motorcade, but no, don't let that bother you.
Well, and I love how the language has changed. So they changed it from he has no knowledge of his son's business dealings to no involvement in his son's business dealings.
Right.
So Joe Biden is involved, he
Yeah.
knew of his son's business dealings. So it's like, hey,
And we're,
the president's son.
I can almost guarantee you we're going to change the definition of business dealings too.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be some sort of wiggle room in that too, where, you know, it wasn't officially business. He was advising his son on things because, well, after all, that's what dads do. You know, I mean, it'll be something ridiculous like that, but we'll continue to see what happens here. I just think it's funny that after all this time of chasing Trump, walls closing in, impeachment, he's going to jail. We got him this time, that Joe Biden may be the one who actually is booted from office and actually may do time. That would be something. Hang in there for that one.
Sure, an orange jumpsuit, that would be
Well, yeah, I mean,
justice.
well, of course. Democratic Texas rep, Greg Caesar. I don't know if you've heard about this guy or not. He bravely skipped lunch and water for 9 hours yesterday, Kat.
Oh, is he all
Yeah.
right?
He quoted, yesterday was incredible. I was honored to be joined in my thirst strike by workers in Texas and across the nation. 9 hours he sacrificed without water or food. But I'm more energetic than ever to get this done. Can I just tell you something? This knucklehead, and again, this is him. I mean, he's talking about how virtuous he is and how he's down with the people, and you know they want to do some sort of laws that protect workers. I don't know, in heat or some sort of nonsense. I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. He made it about him. The sacrifice he made, Kat, by going 9 hours without any food or water is generally called a good night's sleep. Generally, that's what we call it. Right.
Go to bed.
Right. We when we go to sleep at night, this is traditionally what happens. So anyway, this is the same self-grandizing nonsense. They pull this stuff all the time. The sacrifice I made for the people of Texas. I went 9 hours and didn't take a drink or have any bite of food. And you know, and they've got like the pulse ox meter on him.
No.
No, I'm serious. Yeah.
Oh, Scott, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Of course. But anyway, yeah, look up that story yourself today because it's a pretty good one. Also, just want to say, you know, it's fair time, right? You know, it's McLean County fair time when it's 100 degrees.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know of a year that I've ever spent at the McLean County Fair, and I spent many years at the McLean County Fair, that it was less than 90 anyway. It's the hottest time of the year, always is every year. People are just used to it. People will go out there. You know, they'll be the fair as we know it will continue.
Oh yeah.
We're there. It's a hardy lot here in McLean County. We can handle the heat. But man, oh man, is it going to be hot again?
Yeah. It's gonna be
Are
hot.
you? By the way, I meant to ask you too because you're a runner. I know you've been sick, but do you still run in this stuff?
Oh yeah.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I prefer it. I love running out in the heat. I have like a little backpack with a straw in it. Sometimes I drink while I'm running. So I try to stay hydrated when I'm out running in this stuff. But if it's way too muggy like today, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably. But
Yeah. Well, I put ice cubes in my do-rag.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you make some
helps.
cutoffs? You've got like some cutoffs. You're just like cutting off your jeans.
Yeah. Put ice water in my black socks I wear with my running shoes. Yeah, got it. All right. Have a good day. I will catch up with you later.
Talk to you later, Scott.
See ya.
All right, folks. We'll be back here on the Morning Buzz. Scott Robbins, the radio legend. He's going to be back here on Cities 92.9 at 8 o'clock. Speaking of the McLean County Fair, you can come out and see us. Cities 92.9, our sister stations, Magic 99.5, 107.7 The Bull. We're out there at the McLean County Fair at the Nord Outdoor Power Entertainment Tent. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate you. Now, one thing that I wanted to bring up was DC Drano. One more time for you if you're watching on the live stream. I liked what he had to say here. It's a very simple recap. So the plea deal, what it had, it contained a secret provision that provided Hunter Biden with legal immunity for all future federal charges under current investigation. So his business dealings, Ukraine oligarchs bribing he and his then VP daddy, Joe Biden. And the judge looked at this secret provision within the plea deal, and she was like, "What the heck is this?" She goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! I've never seen anything like this in my life." And the DOJ, they go, "Well, and the judge says, "I've never seen this before. No deal. How do you plea now?" And Hunter says not guilty, which in and of itself, the judge to even allow that, like you were going to plead guilty and then you switched your plea to not guilty. I don't know how that works. But now he's going to trial for his crimes. Why am I not surprised that the DOJ tried to provide permanent immunity for Hunter? No one else would ever get this deal. He's not a private citizen. Um, like Kieran Pierre claims. We are going to be getting to a few other things. Looking at your comments, Adam Schiff walking down halls yesterday, whining about how Republicans are obsessed with impeachment. Can you believe that? What typical leftist BOS? Yeah. Like, let's play by your rules. This is what I said yesterday. We have got to start playing by the rules that the left has set. Okay, they set up the rules for impeachment. They impeached our guy for far less. We've got Joe Biden on bribery and corruption. Okay, so that's what we've got Joe Biden on, and we need to get to the bottom of it. And we have to do that apparently through impeachment inquiry, because that's what the Democrats did to get to the bottom of Donald Trump and the Ukrainian phone call, blah, blah, blah. It was a perfect phone call. So Adam Schiff, hypocrite, piece of crap. We are going to be getting to MSNBC this morning. MSNBC, they have this weird report out there. They rushed to shield Joe Biden from the Hunter Biden debacle. And they are trying to remind America that Joe Biden, he's just a family guy, folks. He's a big old family guy. And he acknowledges all his grandchildren. No, MSNBC, I think we're forgetting somebody. We're forgetting that Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge his granddaughter, who is the Hunter Biden love child of a stripper, and his former, I think it was an assistant of some kind. So we'll be getting to MSNBC. Couldn't believe that they said that part out loud. They said that Joe Biden is some sort of family man. So we'll be back here on the buzz. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for joining me. A little bit later, we will be talking about MSNBC rushing to shield Joe Biden from the Hunter Biden debacle. I mean, this is quite the clip. MSNBC trying to remind America that, Joe Biden, he's just this big old family guy. He's a family guy, and he acknowledges all of his grandchildren, and he talks to his grandchildren every single day. Wait a second, MSNBC. I think you're forgetting somebody. Aren't you forgetting about the 6-year-old grandchild, Hunter Biden's love child with that stripper. I last time I checked, Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge her existence. Joe Biden has 7 grandchildren, but the 7th is from his son, Hunter, knocking up his former assistant and a former stripper. There was a court case where Hunter, the president's son, the president of the United States' son, okay, just wrap your head around that for a second, refused to pay child support and refused to let his daughter be acknowledged as a Biden. He does not want this little girl to have his same last name. That's all facts. And MSNBC, they are in a current mode of what can we do to defend Joe Biden at all costs? So I've got the clip here. It was quite incredible. But real quick, I wanted to bring you this nice news story. I like to bring you these here on the Morning Buzz. Try to step away from all of the crazy. Cycle Bar Tallahassee is actually an indoor cycling studio in Florida that's owned by Chris Goslin. And Chris, he has a passion for physical fitness, and as passionate and about physical fitness as Chris is, he's just as passionate about helping dogs and foster dogs, which is kind of cute, right? So Chris, he organized a charity ride to benefit a local dog rescue. So he combined both his passions, physical fitness, riding bikes, right? He has a cycle bar it's a cycling studio in Florida, and he loves dogs. So he combined both of them for this charity ride to benefit this dog rescue. Now, the riders, what they had to do is pay $20 to spin, and uh, is they spun to songs like they were cycling, they were pedaling to songs like "Who Let the Dogs Out" and "Hound Dog," which is pretty funny. Uh, considering so you had to pay $20. It goes to fostering dogs, this local dog rescue. 35 people took part in the ride, and 100% of the proceeds went to Chance, which is the rescue, and it rescues and rehabs animals and finds homes for as many as possible. The event was so successful and so fun that Cycle Bar Tallahassee, this cycling studio, will now put on a charity ride once a month, which is really cool. I'm not much of a cycler. Like I said, I'm a runner. I don't like the bicycles. Stationary bikes, okay, I won't fall. I kind of pull a Joe. I'm always afraid I'll pull a Joe Biden and fall off my bicycle, which is really funny because I have no problem riding motorcycles. I like riding motorcycles. Just can't ride a bike. They freak me out a little bit. So I'm much more into running than I am cycling. Cycling, like a bicycle that's stationary, maybe. All right, I do have to take a break, but when we come back, like I said, we're going to get into MSNBC. There's another story that is out there this morning. As Anheuser-Busch sees massive layoffs, Dylan Mulvaney makes serious bank lecturing colleges on women's empowerment. So here we have all of these people getting laid off at Anheuser-Busch because they made this terrible marketing decision. And Dylan Mulvaney is out there getting rich off of lecturing people about women and how you can feel empowered. That's next on the Morning Buzz. Hey, if you're watching the live stream, go ahead, smash that like button. I see you watching. Go ahead and smash the like button. Now we will be getting to Anheuser-Busch. They are seeing all kinds of layoffs. We're approaching 4 months since Bud Light made this colossal marketing mistake of going into business with this controversial performer, Dylan Mulvaney. He was a TikToker. He pretends to be a prepubescent girl on TikTok. very deeply offensive. He runs around in these little leather shorts and sings about how his bulge in his pants should be normalized. Disturbing. So the parent company, Anheuser-Busch, has now been forced to lay off hundreds of employees. Now, Mulvaney is cashing in on the college lecture circuit, telling college students, damn, I feel like a woman. Damn, feel like a woman. Do. Let's go, girls. Right. So, I mean, that's essentially what Dylan Mulvaney is doing. He's going there and he's riling up college students and trying to push feminism on college students as a man. Weird. Ever since Bud Light bypassed thousands of real girls who love college basketball in favor of a guy who presents himself as a girl who doesn't know much about March Madness, right? That was what the commercial was all about. But I think it had something to do with the NCAA and March Madness. And he was like, I don't even know what March Madness is. Like, shut up. Okay. Women know what March Madness is. You tried to play this ditzy female and try to market whatever it was. But their sales are down over 25%, and Bud Light is no longer even in the top 10 beer in America. So it lost its top spot in bars and restaurants. They were the top beer. I think they're number 4 in bars and restaurants now. Though, in fairness, this TikToker, like the having executives lash out at how much they hate your customers may have played a hand in this. Dylan Mulvaney did what he did in this commercial, but we also had an executive, like a VP executive of the Bud Light company, lash out and say, you know what, Bud Light customers, they just are too fratty. The brand's too fratty and they're out of touch. And I'm thinking that played a hand in this a lot more than even the TikToker commercial or the TikTok commercial. So, and even the Anheuser-Busch CEO, Brendan Whitworth, he made this announcement, layoff announcement that affects hundreds of employees. He didn't mention the controversy since he doesn't like putting Dylan's main name in his mouth, which is, um, just ridiculous. Like, just call it for what it is. Say you made a mistake, just fess up to it. And we have this guy on CBS in the mornings, CBS Mornings, Brendan Whitworth, talking about the LGBT community and how he doesn't like putting Dylan Mulvaney's name in his mouth. We are going to play that, go back into the Wayback Machine and play that for you. If you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. We'll be back in just a little bit. Woo! 8 o'clock hour, 8:05 a.m. here on the Morning Buzz. It's going to be another hot day, folks. Hot, hot, hot. And I'll tell you what else is hot. Vivek Ramaswamy rapping EMINEM'S Lose Yourself. Vivek Ramaswamy is spitting bars and rapping Eminem's Lose Yourself. This is a resurfaced video. It's nice to step away and just find the human story. Now, I'm sure, unfortunately, we're going to have the leftists clicking away on their keyboards, and they're going to say, Eminem claps back at Vivek Ramaswamy for singing his song. I'm sure they're on the phone right now trying to get Eminem to, rip on Vivek Ramaswamy for singing this song years ago while he was at Harvard. I've got that story here coming up in just a little bit. Before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Anheuser-Busch and how they made all of these layoffs, massive layoffs. And this is what's really sad here on the Morning Buzz, is that this colossal marketing mistake of going into business with this controversial TikToker, Dylan Mulvaney, has created problems for real people, distributors, these bottling factories. They're laying off people, real people who worked for this company. And Anheuser-Busch just doesn't care. Anheuser-Busch, they're seeing these massive layoffs, but what's worse is now we have Dylan Mulvaney out there making some serious bank, lecturing colleges and college students about women's empowerment. So you have a man talking about women's empowerment. We're approaching 4 months since Bud Light made the colossal marketing mistake of going into business with the TikToker Dylan Mulvaney. Recap: Dylan Mulvaney is the guy who pretends that he's a prepubescent girl. He wears leather shorts and sings about the bulge in his pants to the tune of show tunes. And he runs around and acts like a little girl. It's quite disturbing. Anheuser-Busch has now been forced to lay off hundreds of employees. Mulvaney is cashing in on the college lecture circuit, telling college students, "Damn, I feel like a woman. Oh, let's go, girls," right? So he's up there pretty much giving this female empowerment speech to all of these college students, and he gets paid to do it. And ever since Bud Light bypassed thousands of real girls, and let's go back to the commercial itself here, folks. It was about college basketball. I think it was an NCAA signing thing, and it was about March Madness. And in the commercial, Dylan Mulvaney pretends that he doesn't even know what March Madness is. He pretends to be like this, "Oh, I'm a girl and I don't know what sports are." Right? So ever since they bypassed real women for this commercial and they chose Dylan Mulvaney, their sales have been down 25%. And Bud Light used to be the number one beer in America. It's not even in the top 10 anymore. And it's lost its top spot in bars and restaurants. Now I think it's number 4 in bars and restaurants. So it was number 1. Now, in fairness, I don't think it was just Dylan Mulvaney that caused this. There have been a lot of things that have happened after the fact that they hired Dylan Mulvaney for this commercial. You had the VP of marketing lash out at how much they hate Bud Light customers. Alyssa, she said that they were all fratty and out of touch. And I'm sure that had that may have had a hand in this, right? In this 25% drop off in sales. Sales are down 25%, but Anheuser-Busch, the Brendan Wentworth guy, right? He made the announcement that there were going to be a bunch of layoffs affecting hundreds of employees, and he didn't come out strong. And that's a big problem. He was on CBS Morning in the first appearance ever. They broke their silence about this controversy with Dylan Mulvaney, and they refused to even say, "Look, we're sorry, we made a mistake." Let's take a listen. Just as a refresher, here we go.
Our partners. 2019 that were rainbow bottles that were sold in stores all across the country. But the political arm of Anheuser-Busch has donated to anti-LGBTQ plus politicians. So where do you stand, and where does the company stand on queer rights?
You know, we support politicians that support our business. And when we say that, we talk about things like things that work for the industry, allow us to grow the business, allow us to employ more people, and really help drive the economy.
You said at one point I heard you say, we're listening, we hear you. What did you hear, and how has it affected your employees? I'm curious about how they're feeling and how they're dealing with all of this.
Our employees, we have 65,000. If you look at the 18,000 Anheuser-Busch employees, and you look at the 47,000 Anheuser-Busch wholesaler employees, and they're full of pride and they're full of commitment. And so it's really a privilege, and it's humbling to have the opportunity to lead the organization. When you say listening, you know, I've been out to many of the impacted markets. My team has been out to many of the impacted markets. And over the last month, we've talked to over 100,000 consumers, and their feedback is very clear.
What is it?
The feedback is to reinforce what Bud Light has always meant to them, which is good times, goodwill, and easy enjoyment. And we have that all.
Blah, blah, blah. There was no point in going out and doing that interview, Anheuser-Busch CEO, you idiot. Brendan Whitworth there. And the reason why I'm bringing up this today, folks, is now we have Dylan Mulvaney charging $40,000 for speaking gigs to speak to women in colleges about women's empowerment. You can't make this stuff up. It's disgusting. $40,000 is what this guy, a pop. I don't know about you, but when I want someone to talk to me about women's empowerment, I probably wouldn't want to hear it from a dude. Okay, so yeah, that's what's going on. And you know what? And maybe Anheuser-Busch can pay Dylan Mulvaney $40,000 a year to teach their now former employees how to make money as an influencer. It's really easy. Start a TikTok, pretend a girl, print money. Pretend to be a girl and print money. Like it's ridiculous how much money this Dylan Mulvaney character is getting. And real people who are in these distribution companies, the Bud Light bottling factories, they all got laid off. They announced massive layoffs. And Dylan Mulvaney is sitting there getting rich off of all of this about female empowerment, blah, blah, blah. All right, I do want to switch gears. Let's talk about MSNBC and how they're rushing to shield Joe Biden now from this Hunter Biden debacle. So two things to consider here. First, it's clear that the Joe Biden campaign believes that Joe is a family man and he's a loving grandfather. That's what the Biden campaign believes on. That's what they are campaigning on, or believes they are campaigning on this. I don't see how they could do this. Remember, it's not that Joe and Hunter are corrupt. It's that Joe Biden loves his son so much that he's willing to do anything for him, including cover up for him and refuse to even acknowledge that his son committed serious crimes like tax fraud and gun charges and drug addiction or drug use, illegal drug use, and not to mention all of the Ukrainian oligarchs bribing them. So that's the first thing to consider, is that the Biden campaign, they believe that Joe Biden is a family man. The other is that Hunter's sweetheart plea deal was called off, and a great way to kind of recap the plea deal, just real quick, I want to recap it for you. There was a little secret provision in there where Hunter was going to get legal immunity for all future federal charges currently under investigation. This is his business dealings with the Ukrainian oligarchs and them paying him and bribing him. Okay. So this was a little secret provision, and the judge saw it and she goes, "What the heck is this?" Okay. And then the DOJ and the defense, the lawyers for Hunter, they came back and they were like, "We didn't think you were going to see that." Well, and the judge says, "Look, I've never seen anything like this before, this provision. No deal. How do you plead now?" And now Hunter has come back and entered a not guilty plea. So now he's going to trial for all of his crimes. So that is the sweetheart plea deal. It fell through. It was called off. So there's a couple of things we have to consider. While still in this defend Joe Biden at all costs mode, MSNBC Kelly O'Donnell said, of course, Hunter would be on the phone with Joe on the day that he's scheduled to sign a plea deal. Because they talk all of the time. The president always makes it a point to speak to all of his grandchildren every single day. So that's what they're trying to pitch this as like he's some sort of family man because he's on the phone with Hunter all day when he's going through this plea deal and then having this plea deal called off. And they're trying to say, oh, well, it's just because he's a family man. I couldn't believe that they said this. Here's MSNBC. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Children every day. And so there could be that level of communication.
What?
Only on that personal level, I think it's entirely possible that the president and his son might speak by phone. They speak all the time. The president always makes the point that he speaks to all of his grandchildren every day. And so there could be that.
No, I think you're forgetting somebody. You're forgetting somebody. We remember Kieran Jean-Pierre and the terrible response that she gave when asked about how Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge the 7th grandchild, the love child of Hunter Biden, whom he had with a stripper and his former assistant. Let's take a listen when a reporter asked, hey, that story all over the New York Times this weekend about Hunter Biden's daughter in Arkansas. Does the president acknowledge this girl as his granddaughter? Here's what Kieran Jean-Pierre has to say. Here we go.
Hunter Biden's daughter in Arkansas. Does the president acknowledge this little girl as his granddaughter?
I don't have anything to share from here.
I don't have anything to share from here. There you have it, folks. That's what she's supposed to represent the president up at that podium, and she's supposed to represent the White House, and that's their official stance. I don't have anything further. Does the president acknowledge the granddaughter? Is that his granddaughter? Another one here, Ron DeSantis. This is just one of those moments that will live in my head forever. Ron DeSantis, and I'm not even a fan of Ron DeSantis anymore, really. I like Vivek Ramaswamy, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's my guy, right? But this is pretty funny. Ron DeSantis coming out and just roasting Joe Biden for not acknowledging this granddaughter of his. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
By leftist ideologues. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the education and upbringing of their children. That's the law in Florida. That needs to be the law in every state in this country. The left doesn't believe that. They believe that, well, you hear Biden. What does he say? He says, hey, these are all of our kids. They're not your kids. They're all of our kids. First of all, Joe, they're not your kids. Second of all, before you're saying they're all of our kids, why don't you spend some time with your granddaughter in Arkansas, or at least recognize her existence before you start worrying about our kids?
Ooh. Yikes. I don't know how Joe recovers from that one. That's just one of those moments that replay over and over in my head. But yes, Joe Biden has a 7th grandchild. The 7th is from his son, Hunter Biden, knocking up his former assistant. There was a court case where Hunter Biden tried to get out of paying for he refused to pay child support. He also refused to let the daughter be acknowledged as a Biden, having the Biden last name. Now, that's all been worked out. It turns out that he does have to pay some child support, and the girl is forbidden from using Joe Biden's last name, even though she is Hunter Biden's kid. Reports say that the granddaughter is 6 years old. She loves playing with her cousin. She rides her bike, and she'd like to learn how to hunt someday. She knows that her father is Hunter Biden, and she knows that her grandfather is the president of the United States, and she talks about the two frequently. That's according to the reports from the New York Times. Joe Biden, the president of the United States, and her grandfather wants nothing to do with her. And the White House has been ordered to never bring her up. Okay, that's according to Kieran Jean-Pierre. She said, she asked about the granddaughter, And she goes, I have nothing further to say. I'm not going to talk about that. That's what Kieran Jean-Pierre did. This is the same White House that is trying to talk about Joe Biden as if he is a family man and that he talks to his grandkids every day. They're trying to make that a thing. Joe Biden sucks at being a family guy just as much as he does at being president. Switching gears here. Well, I do have to take a break. Let's take a break. I'm going to be back. Let's talk about Vivek Ramaswamy rapping this Eminem song. It's going to be fun. He's busting rhymes. I love Vivek Ramaswamy. He's the presidential candidate. And I really like what he has to say here when he was asked by Politico why he was rapping this song back when he was attending Harvard. He talks about American capitalism and how you can make it in America, and he really thought that the story spoke to him, this rap song. So we'll be back here on the Morning Buzz. You can always see me live in studio. If you're watching live, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this podcast out with your normie friends. We'll be back. I like this. Can we get recordings of Joe on the phone with his grandkids every day? I don't think that we want that. I don't think that we want recordings of Joe on the phone with his grandkids. Uh, I've got hairy legs, and you can pat them down, and my leg hairs turn blonde in the sun. And that's Joe Biden. I couldn't imagine what kind of conversations he has with his grandkids. We know from Ashley Biden's diary what he did with his children in the bathtub. So, beer drinkers are too fratty. This is just consumers of cannabis are hungry and paranoid. Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand. Fratty, like beer drinkers are too fratty. The thing about that coming from Alyssa, I could get that offended me because, like my dad drinks Bud Light and he's like not or what he used to drink Bud Light and he is not a fratty person at all, right? He drinks it because it's a beer and he drinks it when he mows the lawn, right? And I think a lot of their customers are just normal people who sit down and have a beer, and you don't have to be fratty in order to drink, and you don't have to be hungry and paranoid to use cannabis, right? But the point of Alyssa saying that was really interesting because there is footage, there's pictures of her, okay, licking toilet seats and drinking from condoms, pouring beer into condoms and pouring it into her mouth. You want to talk about fratty? That's fratty. I don't think Bud Light drinkers are like that. Okay, Alyssa, you're too fratty. She's the VP executive, and I think that was much more a punch in the face than hiring Dylan Mulvaney for this ambassador gig where he was promoting the brand on his TikTok page, right? I think that they're doubling down on it really with Alyssa saying that the Bud Light customers were too out of touch. That's what I think really peeved people off. Also, you had the Anheuser-Busch CEO on CBS Mornings coming out and saying that we need to have a social conversation about these things. No, we need to talk about how you're going to apologize for your decision, your marketing mistake here of hiring this tit-faced performer, Dylan Mulvaney. Okay, you need to come out and apologize for that. I don't need cutesy time conversation about why you decided to do this. You shouldn't have done it. Okay, it's inappropriate. The guy runs around in his underwear and sings about his bulge as a prepubescent girl and pretends to be a prepubescent girl. Okay, so like, no, just apologize. So them doubling down on it and not coming out and apologizing is so much worse than that of having the mistake of having Dylan Mulvaney be some sort of brand ambassador. My whole issue with this story, this just in, right? That's the new part of this is that he's getting paid $40,000 a pop to go speak about women's empowerment. I don't know about y'all, ladies watching, Would you want to hear about female empowerment from a dude? No. So he goes around to these colleges, gives lectures, and for $40,000 a pop, he is um, giving these lectures about being a woman and how empowering it is to be a woman. Dude doesn't. Dude is not a woman. He's not. Dude's not a lady. Dun it, dun it. But he gets paid $40,000 to do it. And what's so sad about that is that you have real people, distributors, bottling factories. You had these massive layoffs. I don't know the exact number, but massive. People losing their livelihoods over this. And Dylan, without skipping a beat, right? He goes off to Peru. He has a lovely vacation in Peru. He gets paid $40,000 a pop to get up there and to pretend to be a woman. And it's unfair and it's wrong and it's sick. Now, one thing I did want to point out in um, this post Barbie world, I haven't seen the film. I do plan to go see it, just so that way I can critique it here for you. And I think that is important for me to go see. I've heard, I don't know if this is true, that there's an implied abortion in the Barbie film. I am going to go see it and I'm going to try to bring back some sort of criticism for you and some sort of review. But in this post Barbie world that we're living in, I want to make a few things clear. Being a woman is amazing. Women aren't victims. They're not oppressed by the patriarchy. Women are just inherently different. They are just biologically different, emotionally different. We're different on every level than men. We complement each other, which is a beautiful thing. And the most amazing, miraculous, fulfilling gift of being a woman, if you talk with women everywhere, I don't know, but being a mother to your babies, to your sweet babies, is what being a woman is all about. That's the most fulfilling thing if you ask anybody, right? And I find it interesting, just in your daily life, women that you come into contact with, your coworkers and things. What I've noticed as I've gotten older is that women, they don't start talking to you about their job or their career or anything like that. When you talk to them, they'll start talking about their family, or even their friends, which is a really beautiful thing. Just notice that when you have interactions with women, notice how they bring up their family prior to bringing up what they do for a living if they work at all. Mm. I love this text. Thanks so much for texting in, RT. He says, "What makes that idiot an expert about women when he's a male? What would make that idiot Dylan Mulvaney an expert about women if he's a male?" Notice how I didn't say a man. He's not a man. Yes, I really do enjoy that comment. I think it's crucial that we realize that Dylan Mulvaney is not a man. A man would not go around singing show tunes in his underwear about his bulge in his pants. And he would not be charging $40,000 a pop to go to colleges around the country to lecture women about women's empowerment. You're a dude. Right? Like, you should not be lecturing me about women's empowerment. And I might go see the Barbie movie. I know it might be painful to watch, but I've heard that there are some implied um, things there about an abortion in the beginning scenes. There's a transgender Barbie. I think it's important for me to go see and to review. Uh, we'll see if I go see it. I don't know. I don't want to give the film already more money than it's already made. It's made a lot of money. It's because there's all kinds of like marketing out there. I think the other day I was at Cold Stone and I noticed that they have Barbie uh, ice cream at Cold Stone. Like the marketing for this movie is insane. There's Barbie Xboxes. There's all kinds of things for this movie. In a post Barbie news flash, and in this, Dylan Mulvaney going to colleges around the nation to give speeches about female empowerment for $40,000 a pop, I want to remind us of a few things. Being a woman is amazing. Women aren't victims. They're not oppressed by the patriarchy. Women are different than men. We complement each other. And if you ask any woman, I asked my mother, right? The most amazing, miraculous, fulfilling gift is being a mother to your babies. And feminism is trash. These are things I want to remind us of in this post Barbie feminist world. Okay. I haven't seen the film. I plan to go see it. I begrudgingly, uh, but I do want to go see it to see if there uh, are these undertones of abortion, transgenderism, and I want to see how they manage to get that message across. And I'm worried because I'm worried that there's young females going out to see this film and they might not understand the implication or the implied abortions, implied transgenderism in the film. And they're trying to essentially, it's like poison that they're shoving into this pink colored candy and they're giving it to children. That's what I'm worried about. And I know that the movie is designed for millennials, and I get that, but there are young women going to go see this film. And I'm worried. I'm worried. Because a lot of this, what I've heard about it, it's not good. So, speaking of, I do want to talk about this Vivek Ramaswamy. It's good, not good. This is good. So the Barbie movie is trash. If you want some true culture and if you want some true art, it's Vivek Ramaswamy rapping to this Eminem song in college. Okay, so Vivek Ramaswamy, he started dropping the mic very early in his presidential run here for office. He's a GOP presidential candidate, and he dropped the mic early on in his campaign when he dropped Don Lemon's career at CNN. And I want to play that for us just as a reminder. Here's Vivek Ramaswamy. This is the moment Don Lemon's entire career just collapsed. Here we go.
Until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we
still
learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me. But we're not. You mentioned that there
I
were
disagree.
three different shades.
Don, I think we have to be able to talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to 1865 and
have equal rights in this country.
actually, I think it's
Okay, so essentially what Don Lemon did there was say that Vivek Ramaswamy, who is Hindu, a brown skin, he wasn't brown enough to be able to talk about issues like the Civil War. That's what Don Lemon was saying. And right after that, Don Lemon was booted from CNN. Now, this is a clip that has resurfaced, and this is Vivek Ramaswamy rapping the Eminem song Lose Yourself. And I just find it hilarious and good. And it just makes me love Vivek Ramaswamy even more. He's my number 2, guys. Of course, Donald Trump is number 1. If I had it my way, these guys would all drop out of the race and they would say, look, this is election meddling. These indictments, the January 6th indictment, the classified documents indictment, this is all election meddling. If we were to win this GOP primary race, folks, we would not be winning it with dignity because they interfered with this election yet again in 2024. And they're trying to get Donald Trump to be booted off this ballot. So if I was running in the GOP primary as a candidate, I would drop out just because I have dignity. And if the government is meddling in our elections, I don't think I would feel too good about winning a primary against somebody who was attacked viciously from the DOJ, from the Biden DOJ and from the FBI and these bureaucracies. But Vivek Ramaswamy is my number 2. I hope that he is selected for VP. He said that he doesn't want a cabinet position in Donald Trump's presidency if he were to get that presidency in 2024. Let's take a listen. Vivek Ramaswamy rapping "Lose Yourself" by Eminem.
If you had one shot, one opportunity, you better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not push your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
I just love it. I love it. Vivek Ramaswamy. He's funny. So he was attending Harvard at the time, and he was auditioning actually to open for this rap group. It's called Busta Rhymes. And when he was interviewed by Politico about this resurfaced video, he said, "Look, I saw myself honestly making it big through American capitalism, and that's why this Eminem story spoke to me." The presidential candidate says that he was drawn to the rapper because he didn't grow up in a trailer, Vivek Ramaswamy, because the song "Lose Yourself," it's about growing up in a trailer with a single mom. He didn't grow up uh, quite in a trailer, but he also didn't grow up in the same circumstances as his peers at Harvard did either. So he was able to become this big entrepreneur, and he lived the American dream, right? Which is awesome. And he says he's growing up in the trailers with a single mom and he wants to make it, and he's going to use the moment to do it. He feels like he's going to use the moment to do it. He seizes it and then he makes it happen. And that's a pretty cool story. And Vivek Ramaswamy just talking about Eminem. Unfortunately, what's really sad about this story, and I can already see the headlines, I'm calling it now. The journalismers, they're going to be clacking on their keyboards here and they're going to be like, on the phone with Eminem, and they're going to be like, "Eminem, are you going to bash Vivek Ramaswamy and all conservatives?" And Eminem is going to likely do it because Eminem is a wokey guy. He's woke. And I think he had some sort of rap against Donald Trump at the time when he was running, maybe in 2016, maybe it was 2020. I don't know. But I can see the headlines now. Eminem claps back against Ramaswamy. The headlines will read, "Heaven forbid you let a cool humanizing moment go by." I just wish that the leftists would let this go by, but I'm sure they won't. They will do everything they can to attack Vivek Ramaswamy because of this clip resurfacing. I am going to get to this because I think it's important. Commander, the dog, Joe Biden's dog, attacked 7 people in just 4 months. He's a German Shepherd. I have had German Shepherds. This is a terrible story, but I have to bring it to you. Similar problems arose in 2021 with Joe Biden's other dog, whom they had to rehome. His dog's name was Major. He was also a German Shepherd. These dogs have been biting people, and Joe Biden just lets it happen. I'm back with that story here next on The Buzz. Okay. So I am going to be talking about the Jason Aldean song. I'm still so confused about what's going on. I don't know if Jason Aldean was the one who edited it or if it was like copyright or what, but The outrage over the Jason Aldean song is because white people aren't allowed to talk about black violence, much less make songs about it. And you wonder why the video got edited. So I don't know if it was the Jason Aldean who bent the knee or what, but there is like 6 seconds of the original video clip that got edited. I think that it was YouTube. I'd like to say it was YouTube, and they're going to try to, pull this screw tube thing where it's like, oh, because of copyright, we had to edit 6 clips out of this. Jason Aldean, that people are saying that if he did edit this, he broke the cardinal rule of the regime, or he broke the cardinal rule in making the video of this. You aren't allowed to talk about George Floyd, the riots, BLM violence. You definitely aren't allowed to make a popular song about them, about these riots. And most people under 40 don't even know the LA riots ever even happened. So people don't even know that these George Floyd riots were as bad as they were. That's the thing, is that there was such a media blackout on this. I mean, we had CNN reporters out there, a correspondent, she's in the back, and there's like fire like pluming behind her, and she's like, mostly peaceful protests, right? And like people don't even know that these riots were that bad. And this is that Jason Aldean, he just made one song about these riots. I mean, the U.S. experienced nationwide wave of deadly riots across every major city just 3 years ago, and today it's largely forgotten. Jason Aldean makes one song about it, and the media loses their minds. And my question for you is, are you paying attention yet? They don't want you to remember. They don't want you to look at the George Floyd autopsy and see that he died of fentanyl overdose. Yeah, like that's just like he didn't die of serious. And like I've looked at the autopsy, he had some sort of nanograms. It was like the tip of his pencil, right? A tip of a pencil is how much fentanyl he had in his system, and that's enough to kill like a person 3 times over. Surprisingly, right? I don't know how fentanyl works, but that's what happened. This was all real news footage, and I guess there was 6 seconds that was taken out of it. Um, Jason Aldean got in trouble for the clip. All right, we're going to be back, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about this. I still don't understand who took out those 6 seconds. I think it was YouTube. It falls under fair use, though, so I don't know. At like 6 seconds, it should fall under fair use. So I don't see how YouTube could take those 6 seconds out. I don't know, but that's big news today. Kind of a light news day. Light news. I wonder if they talk about how Ken doesn't even have genitalia in the Barbie film. Yeah, I heard that there's a transgender Barbie. I don't know. I've heard that Ken plays like this stupid guy, and that all the male characters are either villains or they're really stupid, and it's just very emasculating to men in this film. So I am planning on going to see the Barbie film. We'll see if I get around to it. Good morning. Hey, where are you listening from? Are you listening from Colfax, Leroy, Lexington? Are you listening from Bloomington, Normal? I'd love to hear where you're listening from. You can always text in at 309-451-9299, or you can see me live in the studio on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. I'm there, and you guys can check it out, the video, and comment where you're listening from. Now, before I took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Vivek Ramaswamy, and unfortunately, with that whole clip, it's sad. It's most likely going to wind up where those corporate journalismers, they're going to call Eminem and they're going to be like, you need to come out and you need to say something bad about Vivek Ramaswamy so that way we can run a headline that says Eminem bashes Vivek Ramaswamy and all conservatives. Because God forbid Vivek comes out and he sings a song from years ago, right? And this video just resurfaces. God forbid that you have some sort of humanizing, cool moment. Heaven forbid that there's this cool humanizing moment, and you just let it go by. No, the journalismers won't let that happen. Before I took the break, I was talking about Joe Biden's dogs and how they're biting people. Yes, that is happening. Joe Biden, he's got a couple of German Shepherd dogs. And he had one dog. His name was Major. Now, Major had to be rehomed because he kept biting people. So they rehomed him back in 2021. Now, the new dog, Commander, has been found to be biting people around the White House. The attacks have totaled 7 incidents in the last few months. Now, the German Shepherd has bit several Secret Service agents between October of 2022 and January of 2023, according to this report from New York Post. Now, there's been a series of incidences, and he's a German Shepherd. Major was also a German Shepherd. And, I have German Shepherds. I've got a big old German Shepherd. He's like 120 something pounds. He's huge. And never have we ever had a problem with our Shepherd. They're unpredictable, yes, but they can be trained and they can be disciplined and given direction because they're working dogs, and that's what you have to do. And that's just not what this dog is getting, despite Joe Biden having all kinds of money. And I mean, I'm sure dog trainers at his fingertips, right? If he wanted the best dog trainer in the world, I bet he could get one in there. But it appears to me that Joe Biden just doesn't care. And that's really sad for not only the dog, but the humans who are getting bit. So Jen Psaki at the time, when this was going on with his previous German Shepherd, Major, had said that, we're not going to get into it. I'm not going to provide any kind of explanation about these incidents where Major was biting people. And Biden, even at the time, reportedly even went as far to say that the agent lied about the dog Major biting one of the agents. So there's all kinds of Secret Service agents who are being bitten. Biden is sticking up for the dog, which is not what you want to do as a pet owner. You want to make sure that you correct that behavior right away and not deny when people say that they're being bitten by your dog. That's bizarre. And in the worst reported biting incident from Commander, we have Joe Biden, his dog, Commander, clamping down on the arm and leg of a Secret Service agent back in November of 2022. Unprovoked, the dog came down the stairwell where an agent was sitting. He was sitting unprovoked. The dog bit the agent on the tricep. The agent stood up, and then the dog went for the quad muscle, bit him on the leg. The agent had to use a steel cart to prevent the attack from continuing. And the agent said that he was in a considerable amount of pain. The agent was sent to the hospital and was placed on restricted duty. Reminder, taxpayers pay for the Secret Service agents, okay? We pay for them to be there to protect the President of the United States. This is a joke. And in fact, one of the agents wrote to that injured service agent. I don't know if this was in a text message or what, but he said, "What a joke. If it wasn't their dog, he would already have been put down. They need to clown this dog, or they need to muzzle this clown." I think he was referring to the dog. Rightfully so, right? I mean, you're injured. Like, if this was anybody other's, like any other dog in the world, this dog would have already been put down. Like, there have been several incidences where this dog has bit people. Another one, Jill Biden was walking at the White House, and there was another agent who was attacked. I saw Commander exit the Kennedy Garden and sprint towards me. I immediately stopped, put my hands up in the air, and Commander bit me on my left thigh and then ran back towards the First Lady while they were walking there in the Kennedy Garden. And then there were earlier incidences. An attack occurred when Joe Biden decided to let his dog off the leash on the White House lawn. If he only could have done it when the transgender. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I would not want to wish any kind of dog bites on anybody. But there were transgender people. This is the mentality. You just let this dog, like, this dog has been biting people. You let this dog off leash on the White House lawn. And then you also have this pride celebration on the White House lawn where people literally have their tops off and their boobs hanging out, transgender people with their fake boobs hanging out. And you have the gay pride flags hanging at the same level as the American flag. Like, just such a disgrace. And these people are just free for all. They don't care. They don't care about anything. And now you have Joe Biden. He allowed this dog to be let off the leash to run free. And guess what the dog did? He bit the Secret Service agent on the left forearm, resulting in bruising and a 1.5 centimeter bite on his right hand. Wow. I bring this story to you because at the end of the day, if the president can't take care of his dogs, he can't take care of the country. I've had German Shepherds. You need to give them direction. You need to get a shock collar, a choke collar on them. Do something. Clearly, this guy doesn't care. He just lets them off leash and lets them bite people because Joe Biden doesn't care about anybody but himself. All right. On the other side, we're going to be talking about Jason Aldean. Apparently, there's been some edited footage out of this YouTube video that he released for this song. It's called Try That in a Small Town. And who edited it? I don't know. There's all kinds of conflicting reports out there. Was it Jason Aldean bending the knee? I don't know. Let's talk about it on the other side. Hey, if you're watching right now, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is the biggest help. And if you guys want to do me a favor, it'd be cool if you screenshotted the YouTube channel or sent this link out to somebody and made sure that your friend subscribed to it. If you could just do that for me, even if it's on your lunch break today, that'd be fantastic. Subscribe to the channel. Now, we are going to be back talking about Jason Aldean. There's been some edited footage. It's BLM footage, and it's just real news footage, right? So there's real news footage out there. In this clip, this video of Jason Aldean's song, it's called Try That in a Small Town. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's pretty big. But there was nothing new in that video. There was nothing fake in that video. It was all broadcasted in our homes 3 years ago during the 2020 George Floyd riots when George Floyd was killed by fentanyl, according to the autopsy. Now, 6 seconds worth of this film or of this video have been edited. Now, I haven't been analyzing the video as clearly as the Washington Compost has, but the journalismers over there have been magnifying glass and they've been 6 seconds off of this clip, and they're saying that it's been edited. So in their most recent content created that they've tried to pass off as news here at the Washington Post, they say now 6 seconds shorter than when it was first uploaded on YouTube on July 14th. So the 6 seconds that's been edited out is actually from a Fox 5 Atlanta clip where there was fiery but mostly peaceful riots. Mostly peaceful. Fire. There's fire in the background. It's not peaceful if there's fire. So there's fire, and this all took place about 3 years ago in Atlanta, and portions of that clip are missing or edited out from the original music video. So yeah, I don't know who did this. It's unclear who edited the video at this time. I'm sure we'll find out by today. I hope it's not Jason Aldean bending the knee. That would be really, really sucky. Because Jason Aldean, if you're bending the knee, I'm going to remind you that you need to know who is on your side and who isn't. Hint, the song that has seen an increase in plays by 999%, and has seen it. It's like number 2 on Billboard Hot 100. It's seen a jump in sales, right? This is not your Washington Post journalismers or your CMT employees who are streaming the song. The people who are streaming your song and supporting you are people who you should remain on the side of, and you shouldn't bend the knee. If you're watching, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. Colfax, love Colfax, love Colfax. We're going to go to our busy text line and see if I've got some text here to read. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Now I got a couple of minutes here. I've got to tell you the story about Jason Aldean possibly editing this clip. I sure hope it's not true that Jason Aldean is bending the knee. I'm hearing conflicting reports this morning. I've got no clue. But point is that music video called Try That in a Small Town. Look it up on your lunch break if you haven't seen it already. But this video illustrates a lot of crimes, riots that were broadcasted in our very own homes on the nightly news back in 2020. Now, there's been a whole 6 seconds edited out of this video. The journalismers at the Washington Compost figured that out because they've been analyzing it with a microscope, and they're like, oh my gosh, we have to look at this video. And they found out, and they're passing this content that they created off as news. And they're saying that this 6 seconds shorter than when it was first uploaded on YouTube on July 14th. It's 6 seconds of this Fox 5 Atlanta news clip. So this Fox 5 Atlanta news clip, it appears a couple of times in the video. And what it shows are these fiery riots, but they're mostly peaceful, right? Mostly peaceful riots. No, they weren't. Fire doesn't mean peaceful. So portions of that clip were taken out as it appears of this newly edited clip. So I'm hoping that Jason Aldean did not bend the knee. We'll have to see. I hope that this was just a screw tube thing where they're like, oh, for copyright reasons, we had to edit out this clip, and I would foresee that as like the likely answer. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our show today. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Hey, I've got a little gift for you if you want to try to text in and win these Knights Action Park tickets. I've got one more family pack left, a family pack of 4 to Knights Action Park. So you can text the word summer, SUMMER, to 309-451-9299, and you're going to enjoy a day at Splash Kingdom with unlimited miniature golfing. You get to possibly go to the batting cages. You can go to the driving range. You have a choice at the go-kart there. So I've got those passes. They're good for Labor Day weekend and a few weekends in August. Text me now.